couldn't get the stupid engine to idle. I was changing stuff in the ignition system. I was testing several components like other spark plugs, another coil. I actually just did everything, and it didn't run smooth. It coughed a lot, and it absolutely didn't want to go down to idle. It was impossible. I rechecked the valve timing, that was spot on. I used another carburetor because I know the original GSA carburetors are full of additional, what do you call it, vacuum outtakes. I started to plug them first, but then I realized, well, let's test the carb from the 1015 engine. I think it's this one actually. Yeah. Which worked pretty fine on that engine, but I started to be suspicious about the gas circuit, and it was a bit wet in here. It shouldn't be. It should be totally dry. If it's wet up here, that means that the idling circuit doesn't want to work, and it's trying to idle on the accelerating circuit. Then I saw a video. It's nice to have YouTube to look at videos. When you just hit this one-way road and you can't figure out what's wrong, you start to like imagine stuff. I just let it be. And then I looked at a video. It was some Volkswagen Beetle guy that is pretty nice, pretty good, talented. And he started to talk about those Solex carburetors that's on old Beetles, mainly 60s and 50s. And they have this issue. They have two mounting bolts, and it's like an oval like this, round hole in the middle for the flaps and everything, the venturi and everything, and two holes for the bolts at each side. And the carbs on the GS has 4 of them. And the whole seat on the carb was bent. That's what happens. It's a soft material. It's some kind of aluminum mixture of different sheet materials. And I started to think, can't be the case with this with the Weber carburetor that it bends. Well, of course it can. Those things are pretty old now. We never had that problem 30 years ago when we used those cars as daily drives, but now they've been sitting for a while, and you always over tighten this because you want to have it tight, not leaking. So I started to fiddle about with the carbs, and the first thing was to take a big file and just file the base and see how it responded to that. And I don't know if it's visible here on camera, but you see I've been filing here, and you see this spot and this spot is shiny, and in between here it's not. So this hasn't touched the file, but this has. It means that the carb base is crooked like this. And of course air can seep in through here, and you will never get the idling as you want it to be. So this carb is actually pretty nice on the inside, but doesn't help. Whatever you do with settings and the cleaning and everything, you can like clean the heck out of this carb. It doesn't matter because it takes in air in here, and the idling circuit won't work. When I did this on that carb, I filed it totally shiny, so it was 100% flat surface, and the engine suddenly started to idle. How about that? So never assume stuff. Never. It ran smoothly. I could adjust the CO mixture. I could do everything as I wanted to, and it just hold like 800, 700, 800 RPMs idle. Beautiful. And when I look down the Venturis here, on the first port, it was just totally dry. And we had a hissing sound in it. Very particular sound on idle. It should be totally dry and it should have this hissing sound. Beautiful. So check your carbs. You can actually take a ruler like this and see. I can with my eyes see that it's not straight. It's bent. But the most efficient way to determine if it's not flat, it's just take a big file. I had this really big one here, and it's flat. And I just file it, and we see it's very shiny here and here, and actually in the middle there, because this part won't bend. It's too sturdy, but the sides here are less sturdy, and of course they bend. So air can seep through here, and you will never get a proper idling. That's the tip of the day from the garage in the woods. Yeah. Here we have our gearbox. It's been apart and together again. We can see these traces of Permatex sealant here, and we're hoping for a dry, not leaking gearbox when we put this together. So now we have the bell housing left to do. We have some what do you call it, radial seals to do here. They're ordered, yeah, washed and cleaned. So with new oil in there, we hope this to work just fine. Again, I don't know anything about this gearbox. I just took it out from the shelf. It is stamped somewhere there. It's stamped 80. So it's probably from an 81 car. It's impossible to determine if it's a long or a short gearbox. Haven't found anything in terms of numbers anywhere on the gearbox. Usually they can have a little here on the top here. It can sit some kind of little sign with I think it's four. Oh, I wouldn't say, I should say anything because I forgot the numbers, but there is 2 numbers. The X3 model, that is a bit of a short gear box, and the long gearbox, and I don't know which this one is. Nevertheless, doesn't matter if it's a short or a long one, as long as it works and feels nice to drive. Then we have the bell housing. New seal put in there. This is the inside going into the differential. And we have this black mess cleaned out. I have refurbished this. So we have this truss bearing done and everything. This is normally a Phillips screw in there, but I changed it to a 7mm M4 head. 7mm head M4 threads, cleaned and greased. So this should now be just fine. Yeah, so what we're gonna do next here is put Permatex sealant here, and of course here, and then tighten it down to the specs. Interesting. And the workbench looks like crap as usual. Sorry for that. It was a bit of a pain in the ass to get all these tiny little things here. We have, for example, in there we have a spring and some kind of steering pin for this little thing that like keeps it in place. So I had to grease that so it didn't fell off. And inside here, it's underneath there and there is a spring thing that keeps the neutral in position when it's in neutral. And that one was coming a little bit sideways when I put this half case in place, so it got stuck in here. So when I tested it with the shift stick in here, I couldn't get it in there, so I had to take everything apart again, make a new sealant surface, and yeah, that's how it is. Well, let's put this together. Stubborn gearbox is out of the car. Took me some good hours of swearing and running back and forward, getting new tools, getting other tools because I got the wrong tools first place, and back and forth, and so on. Don't know anything about this gearbox, other than someone during the car's lifetime has been changing starter motor, and was cutting up some holes here just to simplify the change, instead of just taking the inlet manifold out as it is recommended. Don't know anything about it, as I said, other than it changes smoothly 1, 2, 3. I don't know anything about 4th and 5th gear, but it's probably the original gearbox, and that's a short differential model, since it's a X3. So we're gonna put this on the shelf, and yeah, nothing more than that. I get a feeling that the gearbox I've been overhauling is pretty good. Doesn't have that much miles on it. Probably from a car that was scrapped during the first years of the 90s due to rust, but not to that much miles on it, or kilometers. So there's a good chance that gearbox is pretty nice. So we're gonna overhaul the brake calipers. That's for that gearbox and not these ones. They can just stay with the gearbox. So looking in here in this black mess, we clearly see the amount of cleaning we have in front of us. There's also a kind of repair here that is pretty sturdy, so I'm gonna let it be there as it is. I'm just wanna get the red color back here, so we're just gonna clean that. So this is just ridiculous. Doesn't want to have it looking like that in one of my cars, at least. Yeah, and we're gonna take those and those away, and that one away, because I'm gonna drive this car on, or run this car on analog ignition. These Dusselier electronic ignitions were very reliable, and all these 4 cars, as you saw last summer, were actually running with the original electronic Dusselier system. But I don't know how the status is on these components now. I know they were 100% reliable then, 30 years ago, when we were using those cars as daily drives, but today, I don't know. They might be just fine, but I don't know. So I'm gonna go for analog system with just breaker points and stuff like that, because I know that always works, and if there's some issue with it, it's very easy to just change parts. So that's the explanation why you're never gonna see a 1, 2, 3 ignition or something like that in my 2CV or my DS. I don't trust it. Period.